Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you another video. All right, so it's been said that Ben Simmons has a infringement in his back. I'm not really certain what that entails. I don't know, but he's going to be out indefinitely from the Brooklyn Nets. It sucks, man. First of all, we want to send him the best of energy in regards to his recovery. And also, you know, it's just one of those situations where I just say, wow, that contract's not very good. Brooklyn, that's not a good contract for yourselves right now. But the thing that I look at with this Brooklyn Nets team is, first of all, that trade is working out for them. And I have been one to say, as soon as they traded Kyrie Irving and I saw what they got back for him, I liked the direction they were going, because it seemed to me they were going after defensive Swiss Army knife wings. They just piled them up one by one by one, and they got really good ones too. They started early on by bringing in Royce O'Neal, right? So that was the first one, and I didn't see the vision back then because they gave away a pick for him, and I still don't necessarily agree with that at all. But I am now seeing this is something like Sacramento trading Halliburton for Sabonis. Hell no, you don't agree with it, but now when you see what they've done, it all makes sense. The team is excellent. So it's like, all right, cool. I kind of look at Brooklyn and how they're bringing these type of players in, going to get Dorian Finney-Smith, and then going to get Bridges and Johnson, having been, like, what I see there potentially for next season is a bunch of interchangeable defensive players. Bunch of interchangeable defensive players who can all stretch the floor. And so I like a lot what Sean Marks has done since all that stuff I was talking about, all of the things I was saying about the Brooklyn Nets. As soon as they took the shift to stockpile small forward wing guys that can kind of do just about everything, then I started seeing the vision that they have. Ben Simmons, Dorian Finney-Smith, Bridges, Johnson, and I think I'm forgetting some guys as well. But that's what they've done there, and I like it. I really like it. You got Claxton in place as well. All these dudes are going to be ridiculously defensive. If they keep them together, they make for a very difficult team to overcome. And that's why they're continuing to win games despite all the trades that they've made and all that other stuff. Because the team, the way it's constructed right now, is built to hound you defensively and find ways of scoring together. And with Ben Simmons, in theory, when he's healthy, he's supposed to be the facilitator that makes that happen. And then on the other side, they stifle you. It's defensive stifling. And so with Ben being out indefinitely for this season, it's unfortunate for the Brooklyn Nets season, obviously. But we all have to admit and be honest with the fact that Brooklyn is capped off, so to speak, with the talent that they have right now. Even though I love what they've done, they don't have enough to do anything. They have to still keep bringing more to that 4-5-man tandem. That's what I'm saying to you. But right now, they're good, and you're seeing them win games. But if they want to get to where they're going, they still got more moves to make. And the most important one, it seems to me, is getting either Ben healthy so he can fit back into this situation, which he looks like he fits pretty well with all these defensive guys, his height that he can pass to as well. And Bridges, I love that they have Bridges because he's the great antithesis to Ben Simmons. Bridges ain't never missing no games. You know, so that's a situation that I really, really appreciate in regards to, if you're going to get rid of KD, bring me back somebody that's literally never going to miss any games. And that's exactly what they did. So it's like, yo, all of this different stuff, even though one would say that they didn't get the package back you wanted, they didn't bring back picks like they should have. Lord knows they needed picks. But I think they did end up getting some picks for Crowder or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember. But the point is, the next thing for them to do is try to get some draft equity, and try to manage somehow in that regard. I would trade Cam Thomas. I'll tell you guys right now, if I were the Brooklyn Nets, I'd trade Cam Thomas. And the reason why is because he's already proven that he's a lethal scorer. It's sort of like I said about Lonnie Walker. If a guy shows you early in the season that he's capable of doing a lot, you can't let him rot on the back of your bench in the second half of the season. You're neglecting his talent. You're neglecting the value. If you don't think you can work it into your equation, I've heard the argument earlier today. Laker Nation guys were essentially saying, yo, Lonnie Walker doesn't make as much sense as the other shooting guard. If you come to that conclusion, fine, but you got to move him. You got to move him. You got to see that when you're making the trades you're making to bring the players you're bringing to your team, that ultimately pushes him down the lineup because he's too valuable of a player. not to get anything for him. And so that's kind of how I see the situation over there with Cam Thomas. Yeah, they've pushed him back down the depth chart because now they got all these swingy forwards that they can use, and he's not able to get the type of numbers and minutes he was getting right before they traded Kyrie Irving. Essentially, right before they traded Kyrie Irving, this dude was getting like 30 points a night and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And now he's been pushed back down the depth chart. Maybe it's injuries. Maybe. I don't know. I don't follow their team close enough, but it seems like he's been pushed back down the depth chart. And now he's not even able to get off of it. He's not even able to get off the bench, and he's done too much this season to have accumulated too much value. You got too many teams that need a little microwave shooter scorer that can do a lot for you not to use him. Even if there's some deficiencies like defense or something that I'm not aware of. At the end of the day, Cam Thomas is an absolute bucket, and not utilizing him isn't best for the Brooklyn Nets. That's not what's best for them, in my humble opinion. And I like Spencer Dinwiddie, and he's playing well, and he's healthy, and he's balling, and all that's great. It's tricky for me because I don't think you do nothing that disrupts the winning process, because Joe Tsai made it clear that he's trying to be in the playoffs this year. So if you decide to turn your attention and try to develop Sumner and Thomas, in theory, you're probably not going to make the playoffs. You probably fall off a cliff right now. Now, I actually don't know that. I honestly don't know that, given the fact that they have so much of these young wing guys. But you're probably much more stable if you start Dinwiddie and let them play a lot of minutes, which they are. But for me, it's like, I don't know. For me, if you don't have any picks, and I say this about the Lakers all the time, I've said it about the Brooklyn Nets as well. If you don't have any picks, or if you have limited young talent, draft equity, or whatever, the best thing in my mind is to try to develop the young guys. Try to see if they can turn into something. And even if they turn into marginally better talent than they are, at least you could take that value and flip it and obviously bring yourself something back that you can believe in. And not have these players be worth so much sitting on the back of your bench, decreasing in value because you're not playing them and they're not getting better because of it. So these are the type of things I'm looking in the Brooklyn Nets. I'm like, all right, well, what do you want to do with Cam Thomas? I mean, you could clearly change your tune in regards to Cam Thomas if you just trade Dinwiddie in the offseason. I don't know if they desire to do that, but I think a Dinwiddie is a guy who, when he's healthy, he's almost an all-star. But his health is not to be relied upon, so when he's playing at this level, of course, you're going into the playoffs. We'll see what he does. Maybe he can lead the team some real nice wins in the playoffs. But overall, I just look at him as a guy who's capped and ceiling. He's not going to get better. He's going to be this good, and that good is really good. But he's not going to get better. And so for me, it's like I can develop Cam Thomas. He might turn into something fruitful. And because he's on such a small contract with my bird rights attached to him, or his bird rights attached to my team, that's a much more valuable piece to me than one in Spencer Dinwiddie or whatever his contract is, and just getting the most out of him and getting out in the second round. Because the most important thing is to try to make something out of nothing. So what you want to do is take all these little dudes that have a little bit of value and turn them into something. That way, Spencer Dinwiddie is still Spencer Dinwiddie. You're going to have him on tab, and Cam Thomas is now going to be tradable or somebody that can ascend into something you really want to keep or what have you. Now, there's a different type of strategy going on, too, in the league. It's a little trend going on where teams are not playing guys because they don't want to pay guys. So if I can convince the world that you suck, then when it's time to re-sign you, I can just sign you for nothing. I don't know if that works or not. I think that could backfire because I'll use Lonnie Walker as an example. You're not going to be able to fool me just because you didn't play him. If I did my homework, I know what he can do for me. So it's, you know, it's that kind of thing. It's like you played yourself in the end. If the GM or the other, you know, if other teams know what they're doing, you play yourself. You didn't necessarily play the kid because they may pay the kid anyway. But the overall market will determine what he's worth. So even if he's good enough and everyone's convinced he's good enough, I'm not just going to willingly pay him what he's worth. Nobody is, right? It's about getting discount. So that's what ends up hurting it. It hurts the player because overall you just decrease their value down to nothing. And then they got to play their way out of the hole that the teams put them in, deliberately put them in, so that they could ultimately get them for a cheaper price. And even if they were to leave and go to another team, say sign a restricted free agent thing, if that's their situation, that thing is going to be very small. So they can match it, or just, you know, it isn't something that they really care about, I guess you could say, because the player wasn't worth nothing, even though he literally was. And the fans are going to see that when he goes to that other team and balls out. So, I don't know, man. Sometimes these strategies get treacherous. So, you just don't really know what the intentions are. And everybody right now is on edge about the NBA, and I hope the NBA understands that. Just in general, I think you look at Luka Doncic, and he's going around doing this in regards to the refs. It's like, y'all can find him if you want, but at the same time, you got to look at the situation and say, if everybody's saying something is awry, then you punishing people for saying something is awry here and there is only going to raise more suspicion. If anything, you should either address it or listen and then make the changes necessary. So that's what I got to say to the NBA as a whole. But back to Brooklyn, Spencer Dinwiddie, I like him, but I could very easily trade him in the offseason and feel good about it. Empower Cam Thomas. Let him turn into what he does when you give him 35 minutes, which is somebody who's going to score 30 points every single night. And if you don't like him on the defensive end, or for some reason you want to move on from him, you trade him at his peak, at his highest. Thank you very much. Recoup something for him. Move Spencer Dinwiddie into the starting lineup where you have him right now and proceed to keep going with that value now in place in a different way. These are the type of things that a really, really, really keen organization is going to position themselves to do as much as possible, no matter where they are. Just like I was saying about the Golden State Warriors, no matter where you are in your timeline. If I'm the Bucks and the Kings, I still want to develop these guys on the back of my bench so that in the event I lose some guys, I got an Austin Reeves type guy coming right up behind him. Caruso gone? Cool, I got Austin Reeves coming in right after that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's why you want your scouting and your development department to make so much sense. You look at teams like Charlotte, God bless them. I looked on their back of their bench. They didn't have no bench players. Everybody's either hurt or out. I don't know what happened, but in that situation, I'll tell you what I do. You're not going to see a bench full of nobodies out there. You're going to get a whole new fleet of G League talent on that bench for that particular matchup. I ain't going to go out there and only have 9 guys. No, I got a whole G League that needs to be featured. Guys that need to be on the team right now in regards to that situation. So call a bunch of guys up on a 10-day or whatever. That would be the solution. And if that's not something that is possible based on the collective bargaining agreement, then obviously it needs to be something that you guys negotiate this summer. Shouldn't be that hard to bring guys up from the G League in the event that you only have like 5 players on your bench. It's only 5 players out there. You're going to get guys hurt. It's the same thing I said about D'Lo having to box out Sengun as he leans on his back because the Lakers didn't get a center. It's the exact same thing. We got to make sure you have enough bodies out there, or the intelligent fan and the intelligent athlete is going to see it as you guys not doing your part to make sure that everything is right for them. So it's not as simple as just saying, oh, our guys are down. Everybody's in foul trouble. Guys are hurt. So we got to run 7 guys. That's not healthy. And I've seen this league do that for a long time. And like I said, they have to figure out a way to get more players in place on demand. Call guys up and down, up and down, up and down, Sacramento King style. That's the way to do it. So anyway, I've gotten so far away from the Brooklyn Nets, but not really. When you consider what I'm talking about, this definitely applies to them. This is what they need to do. Find something out of nothing as much as possible until you can pick yourself second-round picks here and there, and then turn those into a first-round pick here and there. Next thing you know, you're stockpiling picks. You still got the contracts of the guys that you got in place, and you can have a lot more flexibility to bring yourself what you need. So that's where Brooklyn needs to be. That's how they're going to speed up their process. By not wasting their time, with all due respect, with guys that don't have upside, but are just solid, like Spencer Dinwiddie. Really solid. 23 points, 11 assists on a good night. Super solid. But if I trade his contract, I'm just getting back what would basically be worth him. He's worth what he's worth. I get back that. You develop Cam Thomas, worth comes up. Trade that worth, boom, bring big bag back because he became something out of nothing. So that's what it's about. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. And so that's what I wanted to share. And with that being said, again, we want Ben Simmons to get a speedy recovery. These are the moves that allow you to have flexibility to either move Ben Simmons or wait on him. This is what gives you that. This is what gives you that. Because now you're finding something out of nothing around his contract, which means that his contract doesn't blow back as bad on your cap. You know what I mean? Because you find these little guys all over the place. So his bad contract is like, yeah, it's bad, but it ain't nearly as bad if everybody's contractually stuck together. One guy gets an injury, now you calling up who? You know, these type of things. Are they used to playing this? It's a lot of stuff that goes into it. That's why I think you should keep a healthy dose of young G League talent on demand at all times to call up and send down, and call up and send down. So, yeah, I think the NBA should work that out. I think the Brooklyn Nets should work that out much better. So, yeah, Ben Simmons being out sucks for them. I don't think they can move him. So I didn't even suggest they do. I don't think they can. They should try for sure. But they're not going to be taking back anything much better than him. They might be able to move him to Miami for, what's the guy's contract? The shooter down there. Maybe, you know, I can't think of his name, but Robinson. But I don't think that that's something that the Brooklyn Nets should probably actually look to do. I really don't. Just keep Ben Simmons and do what I said you should have did with Ben Simmons last year. Sit him. And look, for those who follow me long enough, forgive me, I'm going to recap an entire spiel that I made about a year ago about Ben Simmons. But it's going to go simple. Ben Simmons is a defensive player. 9 out of 10 times, if he's doing what it is he's functioned to do, it's required for him to be strong, athletic, and fast, because he's not going to be able to shoot the ball. You know that. So he's going to have to be able to get to the rim at a moment's notice. It was his quick first step that allowed him to be able to do that stuff. And then with his passing ability, it opened up everything else, and it made for a balanced offense, even though he didn't shoot the ball very much, until it became a problem where teams started playing off him like crazy. The thing about him, though, is because he's so gifted passing the rock, it should, in theory, be able to make up for the fact that he doesn't shoot the ball, so long as he just takes a couple threes here and there like Draymond Green. So what they got to do is get him to a place where he's comfortable doing that. I didn't care. And for me, it was like, he said he was fine in terms of his mental health. Okay. But that's not something that ends. You got to keep on. That's an ongoing process. And what it is he was dealing with was keeping him from wanting to do what it is that he loved to do and was taking money out of his pocket. So in my mind, he had some real stuff going on top of the hint, plain sight, that he was afraid to shoot the ball. That was a hint that there was something very wrong. So it's like, you got to get him in mental and physical shape. You can't send him out there at 90 and 80% with the functionality of the player that he is, because he needs to be able to bang and be physical and take on punishment and dish out punishment. And if he's not in the right shape, it's never going to happen. He's coming off of back surgery. Okay? And then I say, when you've dealt with the mental health stuff and now you're dealing with back surgery, that's going to affect the mental health too. So some of the progress that you've made is going to have to be adjusted based on the pain that you're in and the fact that you haven't been able to get back on the court to face the demons that you have to face. So for me, it's like he hasn't had the time to recover. He can have the confidence that he's put into work, but the process of knowing how you react to these things over time is real. You got to know how your body is going to react to somebody putting their elbow in your back. And these are the things he has not reacted well to, because they didn't give him enough time to get in the same shape that he was in before he initially got hurt with the Philadelphia 76ers when he was a young pup, super yoked up. That's the type of shape he needs to be getting in. And because he had those habits back in the day, I figured all he needed was a year in the gym with great nutrition and trainers and mental health specialists to get him in the best possible shape he can get in. The Brooklyn Nets did not do that. They sent him back out there, and he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready physically, he wasn't ready mentally, and his game was not defined in a way that he was ready to take the shots that he wasn't taking that ultimately put him in a position to be looked at the way that he does. He would need a whole year, in my opinion, after recovering from the back to work on this so that he can shoot as much as he needs to be a balanced player on the floor. Now, all of this is doable. That's the thing about it. All of this is doable. His contract is trash. Whoever has him has to absorb it. But the plan is good. You just got to get the boy in shape. But now they sent him out there too soon, and now we have a back set, probably going to put him in a position to risk his career. This is why I think it's so important that everybody be on board as it pertains to what it takes to get a body in shape, and then from there, how it takes a lot of training and a lot of repetition to get them into a position to do what it is that these teams want them to do. 82 games plus playoffs, a defensive player, and you want to send him back out there half-mass, a year off of ever playing ball, with deficiencies? It's like, yo, of course this is going to fail. This doesn't even look like it's going to work on paper. You have to devise a plan to get him in shape, and then you get the most of the contract. Otherwise, You're botching the contract, bro. He's going to get hurt. His back is not right, and his skill set means he's going to have to lean on people. So, I told you. Brooklyn, I told you. Everything I said about Ben Simmons played out the way I thought it would, and it would have played out the other way if he would have did it the way I said you should. Sit him, let him get in shape, respect the fact that he's a passer and a scorer on the inside if he get his confidence together, and then just work on the fact that he has to work on the mental aspect of wanting to shoot the ball at least 2 or 3 times where necessary. Let it brick, let it fall, whatever it's going to do, but he has to overcome that demon, and then from there he'll be a playable basketball player, as to which, if he's in shape, he will be able to run up the assists with really, really talented players around him and possibly score on the inside, depending on how far along he can go with his conditioning going forward. I don't think he's facing father time as a guy at 27, 28 years old facing father time. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. And so Ben Simmons is going to have to go on a long sabbatical, so to speak, to get his mind, body in order. You know, he's going to have to do that. He's going to have to really, really work on whatever he needs to work on. Bikram yoga, get it to a space where you're really, really different physically, and then get back out there when your mind's right. And so that's what it is. Until that happens, he ain't a pro. As long as he's afraid to shoot a 3, he ain't a pro. That's the reality of it. Forget the back injury. He's not an NBA basketball player if he's not willing to stretch the floor. Because with his skill set and the way people play him, it's 4 and 5 every time. It's 4 and 5. They're going to play off of him like crazy, and he's going to let them do it. And so it's sort of like Westbrook with the Lakers. It just couldn't happen. You can't have that. He has to, and I mean has to, get to a point where shooting the ball doesn't create any problems for him. That's it. That is absolutely it. And it can't be him being confident about it. It has to be second nature. He has to really overcome that. You know what I mean? It's the same thing I got to say about Ja. It's like, yeah, y'all could have scared Ja straight, so to speak, but until he had that inner understanding of why he should do certain things, it's a good chance he ain't gonna get it. He's just gonna do what he got to do to get his bag in order. Y'all scared him, cool, but like the things that made him want to be outside, them things ain't go away. The conflicts he may have been involved in, those stuff, you got to grow up. You know, you can't send a guy to get it right school and think he's gonna get it right, and then send him back out there 2 weeks later and say he's got it right. You're like, no, that's not how that works at all. But I'm happy you guys think it is, and hopefully for Ja's sake, he's able to keep his nose clean. But you got to take time, man. These things actually take time. But if you're willing to invest the time, the kid can have a career. It's that simple. It's literally that simple. Markelle Fultz is a great example. Joel Embiid's a great example. You just got to take your time with guys. I think Zion Williamson will be a good example. Take your time with guys, man. Because at the end of the day, if the setbacks start happening, Lonzo Ball style, we start having grim conversations. That's what it really comes down to. And I think we're starting to get there with Ben Simmons, given the fact that this back is doing what it's doing after surgery. I think we're there, honestly. But this, you know, everything I'm saying is what they should have did last year. So, you know, I wish the best for Ben Simmons. I don't think Brooklyn is going to be moving that contract anytime soon, so they might as well get comfy and take the advice in this video, man. Like, literally, do that with him now and see if it works out for you. But let him heal. Let him heal. He's probably going to be out for 2 seasons, yo. I'm serious. If my plan is what people following, he ain't coming back next year. And he ain't coming back the year after that either. Because it's going to be 1 year to recover from that back fully and get your butt in shape. And it's going to be another year to get your game in shape so that you can be the best player you can be. Because if you send him out there without getting his game right and his body's right, he's still going to suck. No shooting. You're not afraid to lay the ball up. No, he has to overcome them demons for real if he really wants to be a pro going forward. Or he could just call it a career. He's rich as heck. I mean, why have... If it takes so much to play a game, is it worth playing? One has to ask. So that's what it is, man. That's my thought. That's my Brooklyn Nets talk video. I've made several of them in the past, so I encourage you guys to scroll for a million years and you'll see how my Brooklyn videos, or just type in Brooklyn, I guess, and you figure it out. But yeah, I've talked about this team a lot, but not in a very long time. So yeah, good to address all you Brooklyn guys again. I'm not mad at you guys no more. The Kyrie thing, everything fell into place. I don't care about that anymore. Lakers are happy. I'm sure you guys are happy. Phoenix is happy. Dallas happy. Everybody's happy. So, yeah, man, that's what it is. Josiah, nobody forgot what you did. Nobody forgot what you did, but we'll see how everything plays out, man. At the end of the day, I think his team has done some good things with them small forwards that they picked up and those defensive two-way guys. I think that is a really, really nice crop of players to stockpile. And they are retradable. So if they want to get picks for some of those guys, I'm pretty sure Mikal Bridges can get you a pick or two. So, especially the way he's playing right now, although I wouldn't trade him. I surely wouldn't. I wouldn't have done it if I was Phoenix either. That would have held up the deal, to be honest with you. Especially with so short amount of time left of the season. I know Kevin Durant's on a 4-year deal. I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is, man. I didn't give it that much thought. But what I can say is right now, I'd rather have Mikal Bridges healthy for the next 4 years than Kevin Durant. And I don't know how he's going to be doing over the next several years. But I know he'll be back on Tuesday, I believe it is. So we will see him in action. So that's what I got to say, man. Good luck to Brooklyn and everybody over there. BDF44, I thank you all for watching. Wow.